Howdy guys, how we doing? Mr. A2G here, and I'm going to give you what I believe is my top tips for new players wanting to play Amikin. So we're going to get started. We are going to get right into this. So with Amikin, we have various islands here, and basically 1, 2, 3, and 4 here are your main islands that we're going to focus on today. Particularly, we're going to start off with Nexus Tree. Now, when you first jump into Nexus Tree is your base. It is your starting area, and basically for you to get through the game, or basically the main starting tutorial of the game, a lot of the resources are going to be found here. So you're going to find a lot of resources, being your wood, your fibers, your berries, and also scrap. Now we'll get into scrap in a moment, but as you can see, I haven't got much of anything here at the moment. But what you will find in your version when you do jump into the game, there's going to be an abundance of resources for you to actually harvest. And as we're going along over this way, and I'll show all of this at a later point in time, but as you can see, I've still got a bit of berries here as well. But mainly what you're going to be finding is scrap. Now, scrap iron is going to be a massive resource for you guys. Yeah, and you're going to find it about here in this location in the Nexus Tree. You will find some starting scrap here that you can harvest. You can harvest quite a bit, and this will actually get you through to a lot of the tutorial stages. Once you need to venture out, you can obviously venture out, but if you need to start off, level up, I would recommend harvesting everything that you can find in Nexus Tree Island. There are some hostile Amikins. You would also find some passive Amikins as well. So Amikins that are not hostile, but if you attack them, they will become hostile. So I just wanted to sort of point that out. Okay, once you are ready to venture out of Nexus Tree, you'll find yourself in Starweed Meadows. This is the next available island for you to travel to, and this is where you're going to find the lower ranked Amikins for you to catch and fight, of course. And also you'll be able to continue on and grind for resources. So what I mentioned earlier before regarding Amikin passiveness and aggressiveness, you'll find that the yellow icons are going to be indicative to your passive Amikins, which they are not going to fight or engage you unless if you actually attack them. Then they will turn red, which means they're going to be a little hostile and attack you. But for you to navigate around the island itself, you can freely pick up resources as you go along, and you can actually get fairly close to Amikins, as you can see here. Now notice that there is no crouching option either, so you can't sneak up on these fellas, but just know you can actually maneuver around quite easily without being attacked. If you get too close like I've just done there, they will attack you, but if you run away, you will be able to outrun these Amikins as well, and you won't be able to incur any damage. So there is that little helpful tip there. There we go, and manage to get around to Amikins without being attacked. But if you get too close like I've done there, you will be attacked. So this game is a little bit more forgiving in terms of allowing you to get by, and you can actually systematically pretty much go through the whole island without being attacked via an enemy. You just got to be very patient in the way that you do that. And just know, while you're in Starweed Meadows, you will also be able to find Amidices as well, so you can pick them up. They are pretty random. You're only going to be able to find the Amidice D4, but you will find anywhere between, say, 2 to 4 Amidices per run. That varies. It is a random generated, so you're not going to be able to be guaranteed, but you will find variations of all of these items here. So as you can see, I've got berries, I've got fiber, and there's also the healing herbs as well, and of course one of the most important, if not the most important resources will be your scrap metal. Next tip is you want to finish this bridge here in Starweed Meadows. Why this is important is because every time that you go to reset the zone, you'll get all of this scrap that you get to harvest at any given time. So there is quite an abundance of scrap here. It varies, so if you were to harvest all of this, including and finding everything else in Starweed Meadows, you probably get around close to 200 pieces of scrap on a good day. Again, it's all randomized, but you will get a quite a good amount, so it is encouraged that you try and finish that off as soon as you can, especially if you're running low on scrap metal. So yeah, highly recommend that you do this as soon as you can if you've got the ability to do so. Let's talk about some Amikin capturing. Okay, so when we are wanting to capture an Amikin, basically we are wanting to initiate an attack, and we've systematically capture an Amikin, and it gives us a percentage in terms of how well or how likely we are going to capture it. So you see this Ember Fluff here at 25%. As you can see, my Ember Fluff is attacking this one, and as you can see, the meter increases to green, which gives us a 90% capture rate and allows us to capture set Amikin. So you can do that with pretty much any other Amikin as you go along. Now, the ones that you got to be careful of, now these will be very won't be as common for you to find, but you will notice them once you do find them. So if I continue my way around and trying to find the set Amikin, there is one particular one in the Starweed Meadows here that you won't be able to capture. It doesn't matter how good you are of a player, you will systematically won't, and I believe you're only going to be able to capture it if you have a better Amikin dice. So I will explain that in a moment, what that means. But as we continue along here, you can see that there are variations of percentages that you can capture some of your Amikins, but you will notice that there will be one that you're not going to be able to capture, and it gives you a 0% chance, which is this one here, the Wispard. Now, the Wispard is an evolution of the Mio Wilkin, okay? So we'll discuss fusing at a later stage, but just so you guys know, it doesn't matter how much or how hard you actually try to capture said Amikin, you're not going to be able to do so because of the 0 chance, and this is only relative to the Amikin dice. Now, we'll discuss Amikin dice right now. Okay, so when we're talking about capturing Amikins here, you will need the Amikia Lab. Okay, so notice that you've got the Ami dice D4 is your first style of Amikin capture, and then you've also got the Pathfinder armband, which I'll discuss in a moment. But in relation to beforehand, the standard D4 will not be able to capture evolution variations of Amikin, so you would most likely need the Amidice D6, which I believe will give you the better, or if not a percentage of a capture rate to capture a evolved version of an Amikin. The next thing I want to talk about is workstations. So when you're starting off in the game, part of the tutorial will be creating workstations. So you will get to make these as you go along. A lot of this will be basically one after the other per task instruction. So you will get to make all of this in your stride. But one of the most important workstations that I would recommend that you try and go out of your way to make earlier on will be the repair station. Okay, so the repair station will allow you to repair a lot of your items, including your weapons, your armor, most particularly, your tools as well, if you want to go down that pathway as well. The reason for this is that if you do end up making the repair bench, you will be able to repair a lot of your items at a lower cost than making them as a brand new, which I feel like you will waste a lot of your materials in doing so. So if you can, try and create your repair bench, and of course, as a byproduct to that, ensure that you try and upgrade it to at least level 2. That will allow you to make pretty much get all of your repairs done, and that will basically lead you into a moderate player from a beginner. The next part to this is making your storage units. Now, for me, I created all the available storage chests that were available when you did land in the game for the first time, but you will outgrow these quite quickly. So the sooner that you can, and that you've got the ability to do so, start creating your storage units here. Okay, so each of these will have different versions for different resources. They are helpful, they will make life a lot easier. The quality of life for this would be a lot better. Now, the reason for this is when you do make your workstations, you don't need to manually pick up the resources after they've been crafted. They will go straight into these storage units specifically, so I will recommend that you do that. The next thing I want to focus on is your Amikin. So after a little while, you will capture a range of Amikins. Now, you really want to put these guys to work, and what I mean by that is you do need to create yourself some Amikin beds. Okay, as you can see here, I've got 5, and at the moment they are currently sleeping. So they do have a time frame where they are awake and then when they're asleep. Okay, so they basically wake up at 8 a.m. and they work all the way upwards close to midnight, and then they go to sleep. You do have a food reservoir as well, and you got to keep those guys filled up, and they are not hungry, and they will work for you. Now you'll notice that they've got skill sets. You do see these little tags that they're illuminated, and these will offer you the abilities that your Amikins can work on across various workstations. So it's also always important to ensure that you've got Amikins that are fit for purpose in terms of crafting abilities. So you don't want to have the one Amikins type that only is skewed to wood cutting or just manufacturing. You want to have multitask. And what I mean by that, when you're looking at your Amikin here, so what I mean by that is if you click on an Amikin, you can see the works option there, and it tells you you've got more than one ability. So meaning that you can actually, if you look at my flare hood here, I've got two types of works that my flare hood will be able to work across on different workstations. So it's very important for you to ensure that you've got multitasked Amikins. Okay, so the next tip I want to work on is the Ami Fusion. Okay, so eventually you will be asked to create the Ami Fusion chamber. So we go into this one here. Basically, this is where you level up your Amikin. Okay, so they will level up in terms of experience and level as well as you go along. But if you want to get a little bit more out of your Amikin, this is going to be the way to do it. Now you've got our Swimander here. Now you've got stars. All right, notice that all of them are not illuminated in yellow. So 5 stars equals maximum, and obviously so on and so forth. So the less stars, the less evolved version or variation. There are some Amikins that will evolve beyond their original evolution. So I will throw up something in the meantime so you guys can have a look at it. Not all Amikins are able to evolve that we know of right now. This could be subject to change later on down the line, but for now this is what you'll be looking at some Amikins that can evolve and others that are not able to evolve. Now the other thing I wanted to point out as well is when you do get up to an evolution stage, you do have to spend coin as well, and at this point in time I've got a Ember Fluff here to talk about is the evolution side of things as well. You will have an Amikin that will be able to evolve once you fill up the star bar, and it will evolve into a different Amikin. So as you can see, I've got an Ember Fluff here. It will evolve. I don't have the coins at the moment to show you guys, but you will have a higher level Amikin that you can utilize for your adventures. Now, for me personally, what I would recommend for early new players, you're going to have the ability to create have two Amikins with you at the holster. So the holster here. So once you get the Wanderer's armband, and you can craft that at the Ami Gear workstation, which can be found over here for me. So this, once created, allows you to have another slot for an Amikin. So at the beginning, you can only have one Amikin with you. Once you create that, you can have 2 with you on your adventures. Now, what I would recommend is that you focus on the 2 Amikins that you have. So you'll have your starter, and then you'll have another Amikin with you. Personally, for me, I would recommend that you would have an Amikin of a starting nature. So for me, I went with the Swimander initially, and the reason for that is I actually liked it to begin with, but also a good reason to pick up a water type is that there's a lot of fire type Amikins at the moment in the lower islands that you are going to visit. So once you do end up doing that, eventually you'll get it to a higher point, and you'll be able to take down a lot of fire type Amikins at a good measurement. Now, the other Amikin variation I would recommend is probably, so the second Amikin I probably would recommend is probably an Earth style Amikin. So any Amikin that you're going to be attacking against water, you will have a better advantage of taking out. So I would recommend a water type for all the fire types that you're going to encounter, and then the earth type will be for all of your other water type as well. So There are other islands out there that will be focused on one variation and then the other, and then you'll go into different parts of the same island that will have different other Amikins that you'll encounter. So very important. For me, I would recommend that you stick to those two, and then later on, probably when you get to level 30, is probably what I would recommend doing the fusing outlet. Okay, so the reason for that is if you capture an Amikin that is a higher level than you, that Amikin will mimic your current level. So if you capture one that is level 25 and you're level 20, that Amikin will be a level 20. It will not be anything higher than what you've actually captured. So it's important that you guys know that. From what I understand and what my understanding is, if you do venture out into the Stone Echoes, which is level 25 plus, there are a lot of Amikins that range from level 30 to 35 that are non-evolution variations of Amikins. So my recommendation is start from level 30 if you want to evolve and upgrade other Amikins. But if you want to do that at the beginning, I would focus on the two that you're going to have mainly around you, and then you just capture those that will allow you to craft resources at a quicker pace. Alright, so for the next tip here is I'm going to be talking to you about the stone and timber yards. Now the stone and timber yards are very important in a sense that it doesn't warrant you to harvest stone and wood once you get to these levels that enable you to create them. Okay, so level 14 is for the timber yard, and level 32 will be for your stone yard. Now, why are these important? Because your Amikins will be able to harvest those resources on your behalf. Okay, so at the moment we can't actually create this because I need to be level 32, which I'm not that far away from. But once you do that, these will automatically go into their respective storage units, and you'll be able to accumulate these over time, providing that your Amikins are not crafting anything else. They will end up chopping down and harvesting stone on your behalf, which allows you to go out and get other resources. So it's all about efficiency in the way that you play this game. When you're tasked to make certain workstations and things of that nature, let's focus on the timber yard, for example. It does require you to make a various amount of resources. Okay, so let's find that here. It does ask you to make 5 axes. Now, what you don't want to do is make 5 brand new axes. Basically, if you're getting close to your axe being broken, save it. Okay, save it into a storage unit, and then when it's time, you can use those broken versions to make and craft the timber yard. And you can basically do the same thing for the stone mine as well. So I just wanted to point that out there as well as a bonus tip for you based on that. Okay, and the final tip for today and for this video is the other islands. So you've got Mirror Water Lake and you've got Stone Echoes. At the time of this recording, the Ashen Plateau is not available. As you can see, and as you would have seen throughout this video, I do have a quest that I need to complete a bridge that connects Stone Echoes to Ashen Plateau, which is not available in the game, and I would imagine this will happen in the future. But let's focus on mainly the Mirror Water Lake and the Stone Echoes. Now, the Mirror Water Lake, you're going to find an abundance of earth, water, and native style Amikins. Now, these are very important because you'll find a lot of these, and this will allow you to harvest and also level up, and you'll be able to find a lot of essence. So essence is important as well. It is a crafting element. It allows you to craft various tools and items, and with that you'll be able to find other Amikins that will aid you in advancing in the game as well. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, if you do want to find a good water type, probably Mirror Water Lake will be the best place to go to. You will be able to find a Swimander in this as well if you didn't choose that as your starting Amikin, so that's very important. So I do want to emphasize that, but you will find an abundance of heals and fiber in this region as well, so it is a good place, a good zone for you to farm as well. I frequent this pretty much all the time. But once you sort of get above this, you will need to venture out eventually over into the Stone Echoes. Now, Stone Echoes, in the name itself, there's going to be a lot of stone in there, but you're also going to find a lot, not a lot, but you will find iron or nodes as well, and iron ore will be important as you sort of progress on. This will be more of an intermediate step in your gameplay as well, but this is very fire and earth heavy, so you won't find a lot of water types in here, if not any. So you will find a lot of evolved Amikins as well, which you will not be able to capture unless if you have the D6 Ami dice version. That will come later in your gameplay as well. So just wanted to point that out there as well. But Stone Echoes is a good farming ground as well. You will find a lot of items there too. But as I mentioned, it is a good place to find all of your stone and ore needs. But if you're not up to level 25, I would probably recommend to probably stay away for a little bit until you are ready to go. Minimum requirements, you will need at least level 2 gear. Okay, so level 2 weaponry. You also need clothing as a must, and you will need bandage shields. You won't be able to get away with just healing herbs. Bandage shields is the way to go. Full stack, if not a little bit more, for you to do a couple of runs here. But with Mirror Water Lake, you'll be able to get away with healing herbs. It is recommended that you do use bandages. You don't necessarily need to wear any clothing or anything like that. That's not my recommendation. Level 2 gear, just to make life easier as a quality of life thing, that would be my recommendation. Up to you on how you want to handle that, but you'll find your own way about it. And then finally, of course, the Starweed Meadows, which is your basic zone. Now, you don't really need any healing bandages. Stick to healing herbs. It'll be the easiest way of getting around and healing up. It will take longer for you to heal over time, of course. Just know that. Clothing, don't need to worry about it. You can get away with level 1 gear, no problems at all. But if you want to make life easier for you, level 2 gear is always recommended. Alright guys, that is everything that I wanted to go through today. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about it. This is as of the time of the recording. This would always be subject to change, but hopefully for those early adopters, hopefully you found some value in this. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about it. Leave a like, share if you can, and if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more Amikin related content. Alrighty guys, take it easy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.